We'll call the meeting to order at 11:30. Dr. Ball?
Yes, we'll go ahead and start with the invocation, led and the pledges led by Roger Campos.
Please stand if you're able. Lord, we thank you for this time and for this day at Southwest ISD. We ask you to bless us with your spirit of wisdom as we discuss the business of our district. Bless this meeting today, all those present, as well as those lives of those that we encounter afterward. Ready to make every moment count. Enable us to draw upon the wisdom and experience of yesterday as we respond to the questions and concerns of tomorrow. We ask all these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
And do we have anybody signed up to
No, ma'am.
speak? Okay. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's fine. Okay, we'll take a break so everybody can get their plates. Okay, we're gonna restart the agenda. Item 4, consider approval of the GMP for package 2 of Crewald Road School of the Arts.
Yes, ma'am. Marksman General Contractors accepted bids on this project from their subcontractors. Our district staff met with them, Marksman with the architect Huckabee, looked at all the bids from the subcontractors. And so today we're recommending that the total pack of the GMP 2 in the amount of $14,846,168 be approved and allow the district to still negotiate the terms and conditions of the GMP. This is actually quite substantial savings in this project, but the construction budget we thought actually was.
What was the budget?
It was actually a little over 16 million.
Oh,
Yeah, so I thought it was like 16 something.
awesome. Okay, board members?
I move.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Motion carries. Consider approval of 95 phonics.
Yes, we had 95 projects for the lower house, and now this is for the upper house. So, Julian, you want to share this, please?
Yes, after looking and celebrating the K through third grade implementation, the principals have also given some interest. And so we looked at rolling it out for fourth grade. And so now that we do have some funding, we're looking forward to making that additional purchase.
Okay, do we have a motion?
What was the?
We can ask questions if somebody will give a motion.
I move.
Second,
Any questions?
I have a question. When we do pass it, when does this come, when will we get this?
After, we're looking at putting in the order, as soon as we get the approval, so we would be able to get it maybe within 10 business days.
When are we gonna implement it? though?
So we will be rolling it out also during May time.
Daniel?
It was just that, because I saw the billing for it at 69, but it says not to exceed 80. I was just wondering what
So you want to answer that?
the additional would be.
Right, so the additional, we're looking at the year we came to the board for the K through third. And so right now with the numbers, we are looking at the quote that's gonna be divided amongst all the 11 elementary campuses. So this is why we're bringing it back. So not to exceed in this additional.
Oh, this
purchase.
is additional
Yes.
to the K through 3. Okay.
But originally the board had approved not to exceed over 50,000, but now we're bringing it back to you all since it is exceeding 50,000 and then the additional will be.
So just that the total price is K
Yes,
through 4, not just K. Okay.
that's correct.
And the other piece to it is that, like, today we're saying that we're gonna order for this amount of kids, but like, by the time we order, we may add 5 or 6 kids to the fourth grade. And so it
Yeah.
gives us room to add with the additional kids that are coming in enrollment.
Okay, and then when you say with the success of the rollout, are we seeing like what is,
Yeah, so some of the information, even the statements from the teachers, they're noticing how the students are already picking up sounds with 95% en estrellitas.
Okay,
Just recently, the bilingual teacher during AAA, she approached and she said how they're loving the implementation, the rollout. And so we do celebrate that, and we know that we continue to roll it out with fidelity,
mhm,
implement it with fidelity, then we're gonna reach some great success. So
awesome.
because of that, our teaching and learning director, Bonnie Robinson, she visited a neighboring school district, and they were also excited to see the growth in their fourth and fifth graders. So right now it's fourth grade, and then we're gonna be able to add fifth grade.
Awesome.
Is
Thank
this
you.
offering bilingual too, or is it just straight up?
So 95% is just an English component, but we pair it with estrellitas, which is the Spanish component.
Okay, any more questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Consider approval of opposition letter of section 504 lawsuit.
Yes, we have Dr. Hogan wrote a letter on behalf of the district and the board to Tim Paxton. Audrey, you want to say a few things about it?
Sure, so this is in response to a lawsuit that Attorney General Paxton, along with a couple of other states, filed in regards to section 504. Essentially, the lawsuit was filed because of some additional components that were added. But ultimately, what the lawsuit is basically stating is they view 504 to be unconstitutional in its entirety, which of course calls into question how we're going to address disability rights in general, because 504 of course encompasses all individuals with disabilities. And so the recommendation is that the board move forward with submission of a letter to the Attorney General with just strong opposition to the lawsuit itself.
I move.
Okay, and then they're saying it's unconstitutional because it's an unfunded mandate,
That's correct.
not because of what's in the 504,
No,
like the
it's-
wording.
And there has been long-standing argument over 504 because it is unfunded, but the reality is it's still a requirement.
Right, yeah, okay. So the state of Texas is upset that they're receiving unfunded mandates,
Correct.
which we receive all the time.
Correct.
Yes, okay. I just want to clarify. Okay, if there are no other questions, I need all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Consider approval of overnight trip for the fourth grade students of Meadow Creek and Bob Hope to attend outdoor education at YMCA camp.
Yes, we had two campuses that have already gone with this, that the board did approve. Big Country has gone to it, and Hidden Cove has attended. We got some additional grant funds. So we opened it up to all the campuses. But really, it's because the limited space that Twin Lakes has, that these two additional campuses can attend.
Okay,
I move.
I'll second.
thank you. Any questions? Did we hear back from Big Country and whatever other one was?
Hidden Cove?
Did we hear back from the teachers or the
Yes,
kids? or-
the kid, I heard back specifically from the kids at Big Country. They loved it. Many of them said this was the first time that they've ever gone camping.
Okay,
So it was a very positive experience.
awesome. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Items of information, delinquent tax collection presentation.
Yes, today we have with us Lilia Gibson and Julian Casillas from Lineberger. They are our attorneys that help us, go out and talk to folks and gather our delinquent taxes. And so Julian's going to kind of talk about the end of the year report for 2024, I believe.
Brandon. It's nice to see so many familiar faces up here. Just want to say first off, congrats on all the growth y'all are going through. Brandon was nice enough to show me the new football renovations and the media center, so we can't wait to come watch it over here. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But let's get started with the report. I will be brief, but please, if you see anything, you want to stop and answer any questions, please don't hesitate to stop.
And then you have a booklet that they have with the reports in there.
So on page one, just the first page, our last calendar year, we brought in $2,380,539. That figure can be seen on page 22. We'll eventually get to that, but let's move along. And on page 4, just a summary, snapshot of the delinquent tax collection at turnover. Just shows you how much of the base tax levy is due for the 2023 tax year most recently, and for all the remaining years. Just keep in mind that when we're collecting, we're not just collecting for the last year, we're also collecting for all years due. And also, like look at that, if you want to look at that 2013 number, that 45,000, that's more than likely a number that we can't touch, such as an over 65 deferral. So when you're living at the property with a homestead exemption, you have a home over 65 or a disability deferral or a veteran's deferral, we're not allowed to touch that money, and same goes with bankruptcy. So that's pretty much all exhausted, and every year we'll get closer to that, closer to zero and 99.9%. If you want to jump to the next page, this is page 5. This is just a snapshot of our delinquent tax portfolio with the litigation. That represents the biggest percentage of what we have going on right now. That's 344 accounts representing 31.2%, which is a healthy amount. We always make sure to call and order title and send out letters before we do file a suit. We also encourage everyone to get on a payment agreement. Payment agreements prevent a suit from being filed and from a foreclosure sale from taking place. Everything below the over 65 is just funds we cannot go after and touch. They're protected, whether it be bankruptcy or the over 65 I highlighted already, or just an uncollectible account where we've exhausted every resource. We've probably already gotten a judgment and abstracted that judgment. So we've, on those few accounts, it only represents 2.5%, but those are just the uncollectible accounts that we've marked. And then there's also your 349 accounts that have less than $25. So we'll still try to get those, but we can't file a suit on anything that low. The next pages just include our collection activity with our phone calls and mailings, as well as our bankruptcy activity, but I'm gonna want to jump to page 19, unless anyone has a question. Page 19 is my favorite page, just because we get so much information on one page, we have to turn it off over to the side. And this just really highlights the growth the district has gone through. I mean, if you look at 2009 tax year and the adjusted tax levy of 18 million, and where we're at right now, that's mid-70s. It just shows you the growth that the district is going through, which is really great. This page also shows the receivable balance at turnover. In July of every year, the tax office sends us a list of accounts that we are now allowed to proceed on and collect on behalf and represent the school district. So that's just the amount at July that we're able to start collecting. And just like that first page we highlighted, this just shows you we're not just collecting that last year every year. We're collecting all of the accounts that are due, and we're trying to get to that 99.9%. And as you can see, we go all the way down to 33%, and more than likely that's just over 65 deferral. So we're really trying to collect everything, and right now we have that a little over 1 million, almost $1.1 million for that 2023 tax year. More than likely they just will continue in cycles that they'll probably be 2/3 of a million the next year, but we're really striving to get to that 99.9%. If you go to the next page, we have our fiscal year breakdown. So the next few pages will kind of be the same stats, except the way they're broken down. I know it's important for Brandon and his team to know which, to have the fiscal year broken down, and we also collect by the calendar year, or show you by the calendar year. But for the fiscal year, the 2023-2024 had some really big collections. Historically big collections. So we're doing everything we can to match those for this fiscal year. But just keep in mind that 2023 and 2024 was a very strong, or the strongest collection year we've ever had. So we're doing everything in our power to get to that number again. If you want to turn to page 22, this is just the calendar year breakdown, and that 2,380,000 is what I referenced on that first page, which is the total collection of base tax and penalties and interest. Sometimes it's good to know exactly the dollar amounts that are coming in each year, not just the base tax, but also the penalties and interest that accrue for each account. And we've included notable collections, we have 14 of them. So if you want to know why one month was stronger than the others in particular, it's just we've listed that account. So we've had some big accounts in this district recently. So that's great for the collections.
And if you notice the notable accounts for who they are, you can see that they're some of our developers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. And I think that's really all I have for the numbers. The rest is just our game plan, our work plan, which really doesn't change too much. Obviously, we don't want to get into litigation, but that is a collection tool that we use to make sure that all the money is collected for the school district. We have our own research team, our own collections team. We have our own bankruptcy team at the office. And if y'all ever have any questions, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to our office and ask for me, and I'd be happy to go through any individual account or at the macro level, whatever y'all prefer. But yeah, that's really all I have. I think I just wanted to make sure I got all the highlights. Happy to answer any questions.
Board members, do you have any questions?
I think this good right now, especially on those bigger collections that come on.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Daniel, can you move your microphone? Okay, Bob Hope Elementary Addition and Renovation Project Update.
Yes, today with us, we have James Moore from OCR and Paul Ralston from KenCom. They're going to give a quick update on the construction progress at Bob Hope Elementary.
Thanks, everyone. Welcome. So Bob Hope Elementary School, just kind of as a construction update, we started about, what, 5 months ago? 6 months ago. We're about just over halfway finished with construction at this point. So the site plan, as you recall, we added a couple of portable buildings to facilitate some movement of students internal of the building. So I gave a overall map of the school to try to keep us on track. So right now, construction is almost finished on the whole area E. The area E renovation area has already been occupied. The new building, or the new portion of building E, is about 65% complete construction at this point. The other big area of construction that's going on right now is the library addition or renovation area. So you can see from the construction photos, the tile and the wainscot and the hallways have been going on. All the classrooms have been outfitted with all of their ceilings, all the HVAC components above the ceiling. All of the painting has been done, just waiting for some window insulation and the flooring to go back in. The bathrooms have already been tiled, the toilets and everything has been going on. The only thing that's left to be installed are like the toilet partitions and the accessories, and they were received today. In the library area, you can see that all of the ceiling work that kind of identifies all of the areas within the library has been going on. All of the above ceiling stuff has been done and tested. Some of the admin areas have already been drywalled and just waiting for finishes to go in. And that corridor connection out to the exterior of the campus is almost complete. The other area that's been going on is area C, and those are the 4 classrooms. That corridor where the hallway, where the storage used to be, the hallway is under construction currently, and those classrooms are going through the renovation process as well.
Can you hold on just 1 second?
Yes, ma'am.
We can't really see either screen.
Oh.
Can y'all?
Oh, it's just.
No, I can see this, but I mean, we can't see that.
How does this not wait?
I just don't know if we're gonna need it for something else.
Yeah, we will.
Okay,
How about there?
that's perfect. Thank you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So again, as I was saying, we're still on budget. We're just over 50%. We're at 58% by the pay application. And the upcoming events are just finishes going in on the rest of the areas at this point. Any questions?
Well, y'all are moving right along.
Yeah, they're doing a good job.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
Okay, discussion on intruder audit findings. Is that something he needs to talk about right now and then later? or-
Yeah, but go back to C.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Southwest ISD supper feeding program.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Kylie and Winston come up and they have this innovative program they'd like to bring to
Okay.
Southwest ISD. And so we're gonna let them kind of introduce it and talk about it.
Alrighty. Good afternoon, board members and senior staff. Thanks for having us. So today we have an item of information of a new feeding program. We're going to be starting very soon. I'm going to kind of go through our timeline and our goals and what it's going to look like. But so what is the supper program? So what we're looking at is adding an additional feeding program, eventually district-wide, which will offer a third free meal for our students before going home at the end of the school day. It is going to be under a different feeding program, still under our USDA guidelines, but just it's under this child and adult care food program. And what that looks like, we just have to do a different state application, which actually got approved on Monday. So we have the thumbs up to go forward with it. And it's just claimed under a different category. And it has a different compliance and steps for starting the program as well. This program does require an enrichment activity to be going on to be able to feed all of our students, but it is an all-inclusive program. So as long as there's some enrichment and that looks like tutoring at a campus, the challenge program, chess club, anything like that, which actually occurs at most of our campuses, as long as students are involved in that and that's going on, we're able to feed all of our students district-wide. And then just another information, once we do start this program, since it's going to be a brand new program for our district, it will trigger an audit. So within the first 90 days of operation, we will have a state audit on this new program. And then since the audit's going to be coming, we're trying to get our ducks in a row. So we've been completing multiple trainings. Winston met with the principals, I believe 2 weeks ago. We just trained our child nutrition staff last week. We're introducing it to the board and senior staff today. There will be one more required step that we'll need y'all's help with. We need all board members to complete a civil rights training, which is about a 20-minute training. It's on our Safe Schools or the vector trainings we currently use. I believe Mr. Crisp and Mona are going to work with figuring out the best way for y'all to complete that. And we just need that completed hopefully by March 18th before we get the program rolling, just to make sure we're in compliance before we get started. And then we will be hosting a campus staff training today, tomorrow, and Thursday via Zoom, just to make sure all of our campus staff and principals are trained and ready to go on the program. And then, so what our implementation, our goals, and our timeline look like. So right now we do have an after-school snack program that offers all of our students and those like tutorings and challenges after school. Right now, we give them about 2 to 3 meal items with their snack. But after spring break, our goal is Tuesday, March 18th to transition to more of a super snack or supper menu. So immediately it'll still only affect the students we're currently feeding, but it'll offer them a little bit more food. We're looking at more of a like 5 items, so we'll be able to fill their bellies a little bit more as they're going through that after school snack program. And so right now we have about 14 campuses with the after school snack program. So we're looking at transitioning the 14 campuses, which is all 11 elementaries. Not McNair. McNair is the only middle school right now without it, but it'll be McCullough, Scobie, and Resnick. So those 14 campuses will do our initial transition. And then later in the spring, about an April-May timeline, we're looking at running 2 pilot schools. So the fairest way we could decide was picking the 2, or the elementary and the middle school with the highest socioeconomic levels. So those 2 campuses that were chosen were Hidden Cove and McCullough. So we've been in contact with those principals and we're trying to set up meeting dates when we get back from spring break, just to kind of go over what that's going to look like at their campus. to be our pilot school. So we're at the elementaries, we're going to be trialing a supper in the classroom. So with a goal of the supper in the classroom will let us impact the most students and feed the most kids before they go home at the end of the school day. And then middle schools and eventually high schools, we're looking at doing supper through the cafeteria lines. So hopefully we get the pilot schools going. We're able to work out some kinks to finally end up at our final goal, which will be starting supper program district-wide at all campuses for next school year. And what that will look like, it'll hopefully reflect our pilot programs with supper in the classroom with our elementary schools. There will be a slight schedule shift. We'll have to work with senior staff, principals, and all the campuses on. And what that kind of looks like is just we need about 10 minutes at the end of the school day for the end of the instructional time to end, and then have 10 minutes to feed the kids before they're released to go home and on the buses. As long as we're able to make that work in the schedule, we're in compliance and we can hopefully feed more kids. And then middle school and high school, we'll just, at the end of the school day, the bell will ring and we'll be able to just open the serving lines to feed those kids again before they go home at the end of the school day. And then some great opportunities that starting this program outside of just feeding more kids that we'll be able to offer now is this program actually lets us feed on Saturdays, which we have not been able to do before. So any tutoring or clubs that are meeting on Saturdays, we'll be able to leave snacks for them and completely free to the students. So hopefully that'll help out with some financial burdens. And then as long as there's an enrichment activity occurring, we will be able to feed our athletes before they go to practice or games, or we could even send them with food on the bus as long as we have the correct paperwork. And then just another fun thing that I thought was interesting, if we are hosting any athletic events, UIL competitions, chess club competitions, anything like that, we could actually feed any students visiting our district 18 or younger through this program. And completely free. Nobody will have to pay unless an adult wants to pay. So just to summarize the program, there must be an enrichment activity going on for us to operate and feed the students. And it must be after the end of the regular school day. So that main thing is just trying to figure out that elementary schedule shift. And then all food must be consumed on Southwest ISD campus grounds unless we have the correct paperwork for like a field trip if they're going to an athletic competition or something. And then overall, the main goal will be to increase the amount of students that we're feeding before they go home at the end of the school day. And then some large takeaways, just we're looking at our forecasted numbers of how many students we'll be able to impact. So right now with our current after school program, we're feeding about 14,500 meals per month. So we'll feed those kids just a little bit more. Right now with the pilot school, we're already looking at increasing about 10,000 meals per month. And then overall, when we get district-wide, which will really resemble our breakfast in the classroom numbers right now, we'll be looking at feeding 147,000 meals per month. And then overall, because we are increasing the students we're feeding, we'll increase our child nutrition revenue, which will therefore impact our program and we'll be able to offer more opportunities to our students moving forward. And that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, we have a few questions. I'll go first. So what does it look like right now, say at Hidden Cove? We're feeding them snacks. How does that look?
Right now, we're just doing after school snack program. It's like one snack, a milk, a juice.
And who's doing, like labor wise, is that the cafeteria ladies or is that the teachers that are in charge of the after school or is that YMCA? Who's actually doing that?
Cafeteria staff makes the snack, and then we leave it in ice chest, and then whoever's doing the after school snack program is in charge of getting the names, checking them off, and get us the sheet back.
Okay, so then it'll be the same. The cafeteria staff will make snacks for 450 kids at Hidden Cove. I don't know the number. I'm just making it up. And then the teacher will feed them the after school supper? Or?
Right now with just our small transition, it will basically resemble what we're doing right now. It'll just give the kids a little bit more food. When we pilot the school, it'll look very similar to the breakfast in the classroom, but now it'll be in the afternoon where we prep all the meals. We actually will be ordering these carts
Mhm.
with things to keep food hot and cold. So there'll be one of these per classroom. And we'll deliver this to the classrooms, and then teachers will roll it in, feed all the kids, check them off the roster, and then we'll get all the food back at the end of the day. So we will have to, once we get here, we'll either have our staff working overtime if they want to, that'd be our first option, or we'll have to hire separate staff specifically to run this program since it'll run later than our typical hours.
And then I'm just thinking I'm a teacher and I have 22 kindergarten kids. And I'm going to be cutting 10 minutes off my day of teaching so that I can feed 22 kids in 10 minutes and then still get the ones that are going to go to the bus. And then I just don't know. I don't see how that's happening in 10 minutes.
So we went and visited East Central, and that's kind of where we were able to see how the program ran hands-on. And we were kind of skeptical about the 10 minutes as well. And they had no problem. And students who actually were in the classroom, and if they're going to an after-school program, they could take that meal with them as long as they're just not getting on the bus or heading home. As long as they're on campus grounds, they could take it with them and still consume it.
Can they consume it while they're in the bus line?
As long as they're still on school grounds, they
And
can.
so then
yes.
the bus driver will just have to say no food on the bus.
Yeah, if there's a trash can there, they could sit while they wait and consume the rest of their meal if they didn't finish, and then just throw it away before they get on the bus.
That was my question, right? When we implemented to middle school and high school, are they sitting down in the cafeteria or tables are not gonna be out, chairs are put up? They walk into the hallway eating? I mean, how's that?
Idea is that we have the cafeteria set up, so we have the table and chairs. We'll work with custodian staff to make sure that happens. And then if there, and we know there's some extra instructional minutes because we've met with the senior staff about it. So there are extra minutes somewhere in the schedule, and maybe it's just a little shift versus like creating a whole extra 10 minutes because we know there's not much extra time in a day. So it'll be kind of a schedule shift. If anybody wanted to pipe in if I said that wrong, feel free.
You're absolutely right. Our day
Okay.
is built in with extra time.
Okay.
And that's why we're able to actually feed them while they're still here versus going home. If we didn't have that extra time, it'd be completely after school. And so an idea we've been throwing around, which it will 100% depend on what the principals can work with us with and what works at their campus, is maybe if they have the extra minutes at the middle schools and high schools to allow our bus students to be able to come and eat. If they have extra time, maybe send them a little earlier. But that's going to be a principal's call. We're not going to ask them to take minutes away to make sure those students get extra
The
food.
trick is, it's gotta be after school, so there's gotta be like some kind of a bell or music or something to let them know they can start. Those minutes are already built in.
Sky Harbor does the snacks, right? Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Because
All the elementary.
so I was there at Sky Harbor when they were doing it, and I remember there was blueberries, and it was a little tray of blueberries. And it worked out great. I mean, the kids knew what to do. She was eating her little blueberries as she walked down the hall, and the principal didn't have a problem with it. She just said, make sure before you go outside, you finish your blueberries.
And the main thing we want to do the pilot to make sure that get all the kinks out before we do roll it out.
And we're piloting with 2 schools?
Yes, one elementary will be Hidden Cove, and then McAuliffe will be our middle school.
I think the middle school portion of it to me is, I guess, exciting as far as if you have, like I have a daughter, 7th grade, there's that time frame where they're leaving to go to a game. They have 20 minutes between 3 and 3:20 for us as parents to take them food.
Mhm.
If not, they're not eating till after the game. So I think that's gonna be awesome, especially if it's their home game and they're sitting around for a whole hour.
That's actually how this started.
That's gonna be
Just
awesome.
Lisa noticed a group of kids that weren't eating, so I don't know if you want to talk about
Oh,
what
I,
you noticed.
Yeah, so we did get a phone call from one of the middle school parents, and so then we went ahead and visited also the high school, and of course, we saw our coach Bruce doing sandwiches before the students went on their field trip for their game, I think in the fall. And after that, I followed up with Mr. Winston and also Brandon to just to have some conversation around this as other school districts, and in my experience as a campus principal, we had this amazing opportunity for our kids, where the parents didn't have to come, especially in our local, low eco dis that I served at the time. Parents didn't all have time to come and afford an extra meal. So this is actually, once we pilot this, we can turn around and even see a hot meal. The kids could have a hot meal, not just a snack. And so that's something that we're excited about.
I think it's an awesome opportunity. I just want to make sure that we're not putting any more undue stress on the teachers that have, I mean, I can see a fifth grader grabbing the lunch and being happy, but I just worry about the little 4 or 5-year-olds classrooms. Awesome. Any more questions?
No, mine was along the same, the staffing, especially like at the high school. I mean, cause like, we do know they close all that down before the end, so we're gonna have people that obviously staying and making a few things, but staying throughout or leaving, and I guess that's stuff you guys are gonna work out.
Will they have to be sticking around? I mean,
I'm sorry, what you,
will the staff have to stick around afterwards?
as far as our child nutrition staff? So that'll depend. We're gonna offer overtime to our current staff if they would like to work extra hours, because we have a lot of staff that actually work 2 jobs. So this will allow them to get more hours, more income. But if we don't have enough staff to work that overtime, then we will be looking to hire to make sure we're fully staffed.
And this is a new revenue stream. And we found through these programs that, I mean, the revenue for child nutrition has actually been pretty strong.
Awesome.
So a new revenue stream to bring in more revenue, which could entail us hiring some extra folks to make sure we run this good.
That's what I was thinking, we get to offer more jobs so people
Yeah.
get it.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you,
It'd be
Dalila,
great
for bringing it up.
Our staff, they only work 35 hours a week, so this will get them working full-time.
Mhm.
3 hours.
Awesome. Thank y'all. Good luck with the implementation. Okay,
Yeah, he'll have to read a statement.
okay. Discussion of intruder detection audit findings.
Captain Board, staff. We had TDA recently conducted an intruder detection audit on one of our campuses. This audit tests whether campus is accessible to unauthorized individuals. It also helps our district identify how campuses can improve safety and security. We acknowledge that parents and community members are likely very interested in the details of the audit results. However, it is in the best interest of students that we do not share this information with the broad public, as it can compromise security information. Specific details of the intruder detection audit will be discussed in executive session today, and it was discussed last month with our district safety and security committee.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, so we will go to, can they hear on the recording when they stand at that little podium?
Do you think they can hear when they stand at the podium? Do you think that they can hear when they stand at this other podium?
The recording.
I'm pushing it this way, so.
Let's just move that podium just so people don't think that that's the place to stand. It's a good idea, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it got there either. Yeah.
Math instructional framework.
Yes. Dalila? Yeah, so we had another opportunity to apply for TDA for another grant. And so I'm gonna have Lisa just give us a historical overview of how the state has allowed us an opportunity to recover after COVID. And so we also have some great work that Veronica and George are going to present.
Thank you.
All right. Madam Vice President, esteemed board members, Dr. Ball. So today we're going to be talking about the math instructional framework and specifically about the LASSO 3 grant also. So just a little overview. Since COVID has happened, TEA has had a number of grant opportunities for districts to apply for. So over the past 5 years, we've had in 2020 and through 2022, we had the Resilient Schools Support Program. And 22 to 24, we had the T-Class, the Texas COVID Learning Acceleration Support Grant. And then 23 to 24, we had the first LASSO grant, the Learning Acceleration Support Opportunity, where we had our Strong Foundations Literacy Framework Development. And then most recently in 2024, 2025, we had LASSO 2, where we had our Strong Foundations Planning for Math. And most recently, just in the last week, it was announced that we have been awarded LASSO 3 for 2 areas, the Strong Foundations Implementation for Secondary Math and the Strong Foundations Implementation School Improvement PLC grant. So those 2 portions of the LASSO have been awarded to Southwest. So I'm going to turn it over to Veronica so she can tell you more about the math instructional framework.
So this right here is a recap of what Lisa just talked about. This year, elementary has been working with NIET on developing the Strong Foundations Planning Grant. And then next year, we will be moving to the implementation and PLC supports. So this right here shows you that the work that we have been doing this year is basically creating our vision for math in the district. And then also, what does that look like as we begin to implement that math instructional framework? So you'll see here that there are 3 components to the math instructional framework. The first one being creating a vision statement for math for our district. And it's really that desired outcome that we have for all of our students. The next part of it is creating belief statements. And these belief statements are aligned with the research-based instructional strategies, which we call RBs. And basically, it's that high-quality instruction in the content area of math. Lastly, it's about creating stakeholder action. So what are the actions that we want our leaders, our teachers, our students, and even our families in order to accomplish our vision? So you'll see that this is the math instructional framework. You do have a copy, I believe it's after the PowerPoint slides. And you'll see that we start with our vision statement. And so in the vision statement that we created, it says Southwest ISD is dedicated to fostering a community of curious, resilient, and critically thinking mathematicians who are able to navigate complex problems that impact our world. The next part is those belief statements, and you'll see that there are 4 because there are 4 RBs or research-based instructional strategies, and I'm not going to read those, but you can reference them in your packet. Lastly, we create those stakeholder actions. And so basically we have the actions that we would like our students to take, our teachers to take, our instructional leaders, and our families also. And so there is one for each of the belief statements that we have set out. So we're happy to report that we actually submitted our instructional framework to TEA. It was approved, and we're happy to say that it was given a rating of exemplary by TEA. And so when talking to our approved provider NIET, one of the things they said is now that they will be using our framework as a model for other districts. So we're really happy to report that. And so as we continue this work, you will see that now what we're going to do is we have facilitated the math instructional framework, going over it with our principals. Last week, we went over it with our assistant principals and vice principals. And starting this next month, we are going to start delivering it to campus teachers. So we want to make sure that everybody knows what are those action steps that we need from every stakeholder in order for us to accomplish our vision. And so we will be visiting campuses and rolling that out. Myself, Bonnie, and Sonia will be delivering that to elementaries by staff meetings. So we have those scheduled already, and that's what we will be doing to present it to the campus teachers. And now I'm going to turn it over to Anitra.
Well, we are happy to say that the middle school did get approved for the Strong Foundations grant for 6th through 8th in algebra of $296,000. So what is the Strong Foundations Implementation Grant? The purpose is to provide funds to the campus to enhance instruction, but 70% of those funds are tied to a partnership with a provider. We are going to continue that partnership with NIET because they've already laid the framework with elementary and jump on board to start delivering that math framework to the rest of the district. We're also excited to say that we also were awarded the PLC supports, which was $215,000, which is 100% back to the provider. This support is for McNair, Resnick, and Scobie. They will provide 20 on-site professional development for those teachers. During that time, they're going to help teachers to really look into the lessons and internalize the lessons instead of thinking of what I'm going to teach. Now, how do I go about to teach it? Lastly, the other pieces for this grant is they're going to work with district leadership, myself and Bonnie and the campus teams to create action plans around math instruction so that we see that improvement of long-standing achievement throughout, even when the grant has surpassed. the 20 PLCs on site. And then learning walks, we will have 4 different times during the year. They will provide learning walks with myself and campus leadership so that we can walk alongside them to see is the implementation of that high quality instruction being implemented and what other additional supports are we going to need, because we will still have that $76,000 left after providing it to the provider, thinking about what else do we need. We've already started thinking about for the summer. We've mapped out some dates to bring in the teachers to provide training, and they will be compensated for their time through the use of the grant. In addition, we're also looking at, do we need to hire subs throughout the year? In the event, when we do our walks, if there's something that our teachers are missing, could that NIT provider come in and do some quick PD with them and provide some subs for them as well?
Anitra, real quick, you said 3 of the middle schools?
Yes,
You
it
didn't say
is.
McCullough.
No, it is McNair, Resnick, and Scobie. They are targeted improvement campuses.
Okay.
And so because of that, but I did speak to the provider because we are continuing the partnership. They charge per day, not by person. And so I will be able to invite McCullough to sit in so that they would get the same supports as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
And this is in your packet. It's just a reminder of what is QIM. And we have decided to move forward with Bluebonnet Learning. We had an opportunity to provide samples of the 3 resources that TAA deemed as high quality instructional materials, which was Agile Minds, STEM Scopes, and Bluebonnet. Principals looked at the materials first and in a small group, and they were all in favor of Bluebonnet. Then we met with all the math leads, and they too were all in favor of Bluebonnet. And then we met with all campuses through PLCs. 12 out of the 14 groups at middle school were in favor of Bluebonnet. And so we are already piloting at 7th grade. And so the feedback from teachers is that it's very turnkey. It has everything that they need. They just need the time to internalize the resources.
The 2 out of the, you said 12 out of 14. The 2 groups that didn't like it, did they give a reason why they didn't like it?
They looked at it at the lens of a student. And so we had to remind them, they had to look at the lens as a teacher. If I was a brand new teacher coming in, would this resource be able to support me to be able to deliver the lesson? And so the other two that chose the other one, it looked more kid friendly, but it didn't really give enough information for the teacher to be able to deliver the lesson.
Okay, thank you.
And that is all I have. Any questions? No? Okay.
But do we already currently use Bluebonnet Math?
Well, we have currently, the name of the curriculum is Eureka.
Okay.
And so then the state purchased some rights from Eureka, and now the state went ahead and created more of the Texas version of it, and it's be called Bluebonnet.
So it's Eureka plus.
Bluebonnet.
They basically changed the name. They did add some color to it.
Okay.
but they-
Okay.
The next one we have, I know Lisa and Bonnie, and we want to give the board a glimpse in regards, this is the most recent data that we have. And I know this data was shared, Bonnie and Lisa both did an excellent job sharing this last week with ESAC. And we wanted to give the board this most recent information. See that, or is there anything you want to share?
No, just part of
Thank
what
you.
we're doing this year is we have added some additional assessments, and that has been something that we have heard from our teachers. Why so much testing? And so each piece of the assessments have a different purpose. And so that's something that we do want to just make sure that we iterate and share with the board that every assessment has a purpose. And so we're going to just speak to that right now.
Good afternoon. So I do have your packet to make it, because we are going to go through a lot of data. I made it to simplify it a little bit just to by color coding. So my color coding system is, if it's red, that means it's more than 10% of where we were last year. Everything is being compared to STAR last year. STAR, remember, is an end of the year assessment. So this assessment we do have for all the subjects except for math was a February assessment. So we still have time to make up that difference. So if it's red, it was more than 5%. If it's green, it's within 10%. And if it's blue, we've already surpassed what we did on STAR last year. So if you look at the third grade scores, we're very close. We were 11% when it came to the approaches level for all students, and then 28% and 8% when it comes to masters. If you look at the subgroups, again, you can see the numbers there. For our emergent bilingual, we were all within 10% of the numbers. And for special ed, we're surpassing where we were for approaches last year. And then we're within 10% of the other two. And then our Spanish numbers, again, we are falling behind when it comes to where we should be for third grade. We have to remember that third grade, it's the first year that they're taking the STAR test. So that's an adjustment. Another thing is they have smaller assessments, but the benchmark is the first time they take a 4-hour test, which a lot of that has to do with endurance. And so we are working with all our students, making sure that they have what they need. I currently do not have a reading coordinator, but I've been going out and providing training for the students and talking to the teachers and clarifying things. And so we're aware of it and we're working hard and putting into plans to help close that gap. When it comes to fourth grade ELAR, this was the BEAM, which we just took in February. As you can see, all green and blue, which is good to see. And it's nice to see too that we are very close to what we received on STAR last year. So it just means we're going to get even higher just because, again, it's an end of year assessment and they have from now until April to be able to make those scores go even higher. And then the last one is fifth grade for elementary. Again, blue and green. You have to remember this is now the fourth graders, they have taken it once. So they've had that experience. Fifth graders have taken it twice. And so I think that that time and that experience and being able to experience a long test really does help with those grades. Plus maturity level. I taught fourth grade most of my career, and students really do grow from after Christmas before Christmas to after Christmas. Mm-hmm. So really proud of our fifth graders. Any questions with the ELAR before we move forward? Okay, so then middle school, again, very proud. We typically take a dip when it goes from fifth grade to sixth grade. But in this case, we're not. We're holding steady, so that's good. The reasons for the dip is because they're moving from an elementary setting to a middle school setting, and it's just a different atmosphere for them. But as you can see all the way down, we're in blues, lots of blue and green. So we're really excited for what our middle school students are going to do for us in STAR. For high school, again, just like we have a dip from fifth grade to sixth grade, sometimes we have that same from eighth grade to ninth grade because they're moving from a middle school setting to a high school setting. Again, that's that transitional year. And so again, my coordinator, Chris Ottinger, is working very closely with the English 1 teachers, making sure that they have what they need, looking at the materials, and again, coming up with plans that will help us to get from where we are now to STAR. And then 10th grade English 2, again, it's their second year of being in high school and they're doing fine. They're in blue and green there too. For science has been something that has always been a concern of mine. As we are moving more into high quality instructional materials in STAR 2.0, it's imperative that a fifth grade test is no longer just a fifth grade test. It is a K-5 test. So we're really trying to show the importance to our K-4 teachers that they need to be teaching science on a daily basis, because the fifth grade tests they test third grade TEKS, fourth grade TEKS, and fifth grade TEKS. When we did some digging into this data for fifth grade, the TEKS that were low, considerably low, were the third grade and the fourth grade TEKS on that test. So again, we're going to have some, Lindsay is going to have every Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember which date it is, but she's going to have a training on the low TEKS. And teachers are able to come to those training, and she'll have them every Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday, every Tuesday between now and STAR. just talking about what does this TEK entail, what is the vocabulary that the students need, and how is it that we can raise those scores. When it comes to middle school, yes,
On
ma'am.
that, what can we do to help support you and getting those teachers to come?
I think it's, again, just helping us to get the word out and you putting, just talking to the principals and saying it's very important that we have them attend, that tip.
Should we tell the principals that have no choice? Because looking at these scores, I don't want us to be at the end and.
It would be wonderful if you did that. I think that would really
So
help.
Let's do that, Dalila, to support Bonnie, because if Lindsay's putting in all this effort to do the trainings,
I'll do-
let's say
I'll do
that each principal, let's pick a number, whatever y'all think is best, you're the expert. Let's say every campus has to send 5 or 3. You pick the number, and if you want me to deliver the message, I want to support you because I know that this isn't what you want to see inside.
I didn't mention it, but in the same respect, I'm providing a training after school on the 18th, 19th, and 20th to improve ECR scores, which is extended constructive response. That's the writing portion where the students actually have to write an essay, which is worth 10 points of the score, which is about 1/3. And that's where we see a decline as well. And so that would be another area that I would really want the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers to attend that
Let's do the
training.
same thing because you're the expert at this. The teachers need to hear from you and see it. So then we have too many new teachers that aren't hearing and seeing it from you, the expert.
The
So-
other training is during the day?
The other, all of the training will be after school.
Okay.
With the training we're having it for math as well. So that's why I said it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday will be science. And Lindsay will perform that we'll have that for all 5th grade teachers. But then Sonia, my math coordinator, is going to have it on Wednesday. And that's going to look at how are TEKs linked from 3rd to 4th to 5th because they are linked. And she's going to be doing training like on problem solving and how do you use the read, draw, write strategy to help them to unpack that. So she'll have a series of them as well. All of the trainings I think are from like 4 to 5 o'clock. Mine is from 4 to 5 o'clock. But the ones Lindsay and Sonia's will be virtual. Mine, I wanted it face to face because there's a little bit more interaction.
So Bonnie, another message I think we could send, right, Brendan, is that this is going to prepare the teachers to tutor their kids. So we can pay them because this is preparation, right? So deliver that message to the principals and let them know, we'll pay the teachers, and y'all could help us too, please. We'll pay the teachers to come to this because then we expect for them to redeliver what you share
Wonderful.
with them.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Bonnie, for all this extra work.
Does the virtual really work?
We
don't even know if they're paying attention.
Well, yes and no. I think that it helps people to where they're not driving and they're able to have a place. It all depends on the individual, but it can be the same thing for a face-to-face. You can have individuals that come, but they're just sitting there and sitting in a chair. So,
When they're doing this.
yeah.
Well, yeah, no.
And yes, on their phone. So can I say one is better than the other? I've done both. I personally prefer face-to-face because I feel I'm a better presenter when I'm looking people in the face and in the eyes, where virtually I just sometimes stumble and I don't feel comfortable. So I just had told Veronica, I prefer face-to-face.
Is this something in the schools that we can target and say, okay, you're really low? Is this something that we could actually pull the teachers out during the day and like admin or somebody could go in for that hour or whatever it is, and then they would have to attend because it's during the school day? I'm not
could.
saying every school,
Yes,
but maybe lunch. Maybe we tell them, okay, on your lunch hour, we're going to do this training and we're going to, I'm sorry, but we'll provide lunch. And then they have to go because they're at the school already. And so
we could look into that and come up with a plan, because then that would assure that everyone with this ECR training that I'm doing, I did pilot it at a campus just to see, because I haven't been in the classroom for a while. Because I said, I'm looking at as theory, you're going to look to see if it has the practice. And they all came back and said, what you told us works completely. So then that's when Veronica had said, let's take that out. So
Well,
there are a
maybe-
couple of other campuses that I'm going to the campus because
Yeah.
I want to make sure everyone gets it.
Well, maybe we just target those that are just really critical
Well-
and we do it during the day and then whatever,
Yeah, I
maybe
would-
during their planning period, I don't know.
Well, so the planning period, yes,
Okay.
but their conference and their lunch are kind of
Okay,
sacred
so
time for them.
let's do the planning period and this will be on this day, this is your planning period.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I mean, I know that they have PLCs daily, or I'm assuming they do.
A lot of the campuses have it from 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning.
It's different with elementary?
Most of them have it from 7:30 to 8:30, but we probably could talk to those campuses and I'm sure the principals would allow
Yeah.
us to 2%.
Yeah,
I
something.
think it's easier to get substitutes to do this because after hours, I think it's harder to get people to stay, even
Yeah,
if you pay them.
That, and that, no, I know, because, I mean, maybe they have to get their kid from the daycare. I mean, maybe they just can't stay. But somehow we could do it during the day, not necessarily to every single elementary, but the ones that we feel really need it.
We'll definitely look into that. Thank you for the suggestion. Social studies, we do, again, this is the beam that they took. Very proud of our 8th grade that they have surpassed where they did in STAR. As a disclaimer for US history, it is a very long test, 64 questions. And taking an assessment in February is not covering all the TEKs. So that's where we are with US history. They still have a lot to cover. I was informed by Oscar Sines, our social studies specialist, that the 90s to today is the biggest section that is tested, and they're just getting into those units now. So one of the things I wanted to do, and Zelene knows this, that we're going to pull on Friday, we're going to zero out any of the questions that has to do with that time period of the 90s to the 2000s up to date. We're going to pull those out, rescore, because this has all of the questions. Look to see where we are with everything that is taught, and I'm sure that our scores will go up. Okay. For the math, this is still December data because math is we take STAR in stages. It's first ELAR, and then it is science and social studies, and then it's math. So we don't take them all in 1 week. We spread them out for in about a month's period. So that's kind of daunting for the campuses to be kind of in testing mode for a month. So we're getting the math scores in as we speak. So campuses are taking those assessments today and tomorrow. So this is what we have in December. Again, we had just one area, 5th grade, that we were a little bit nervous about, but they are the grade level that has a math, ELAR, and science. So they have 3 tested areas. So a lot of times we see that little bit of a dip just because there's three tests that they have to score. When we do get our beam scores in, there probably will be quite a bit of red. Again, because we take the test right now in March, but it is an end of the year test and they still have concepts that they need to teach. And that is always the way it's been, even when I was in the classroom. So as a math teacher, I would know which TEKs have been taught and which haven't. So we're aware of that. And then the last is secondary. Again, that's December data. That is our most recent data for our common assessments. And again, we have a lot of blue and green, which is good to see. And then Algebra 1 does have that 58. And that includes our middle school students and our high school students, but it's just the students who are taking it for the first time, not retesters. And that's all I have for the data. If there's any questions that you have.
I just want to say, it's obvious that y'all are working super hard. Thank you, Dalila, for supporting whatever. I don't know what y'all are doing, but it's nice to see not a lot of red.
And anytime you see red, we've come up with a plan to figure out how we can make that to be a better color.
Thank you so much. Okay, do we need a closed session?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so as permitted by section 551.001 551.146 of the Texas Government Code, we will go into closed session. Okay, we'll go back into open session at 1:09. And there are no actions on closed session. So Dr. Ball, do you have one more thing?
I do. We have a lot of great events going on. Today at 2:00, if any of the board members would like to go, we have a teacher from Resnick that's being honored for HEB excellence. So today at 2:00 after the tour, if you'd like to attend that. Then tonight, we have an amazing art show by our students. So that's at Southwest High School. That starts at 5:30, and that is tonight. Tomorrow, we have the food distribution. If anybody wants to help out with that, we will be having that. Friday night, we have a soccer game. It's going to be a great game because for sure we will win. Either way, we have Southwest High School and Southwest Legacy playing. So
Okay.
either way, and we will be upstairs and we'll have food if anybody wants to join us for that at Legacy. If anybody wants to join us for that. And then on Saturday, it's the second annual See Her Lead, but this year it's at the Holiday Inn on 151 at 9:00. If anybody would like to attend that event. And then just a reminder, you do have this. This is for today's art show. And then Resnick is inviting the board to this event on March the 6th.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Is that all you have? Okay.
Just real quick, along with that soccer, Southwest won on Friday night. They won their 7th consecutive district championship.
Wow. Awesome. I guess we'll be bringing them to the boardroom sometime soon. Okay.
And the basketball team.
And the basketball team. All right. Nothing else? Then we're going to adjourn at 1:11.